Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. I am Becca and this is another sketchbook tour. This one took me from December 24th to June 5th to complete, so about 6 months, maybe a little bit less than that, five and a half months. And I decorated the cover on the 6th, though the day after I finished everything on the inside. So this is a moleskin art collection. It is 111 pounds. It was a really good sketchbook, not really my favorite. I liked using most of my supplies that I used in this were like Neocolor tubes, acrylic markers, and some watercolor. The watercolor is not that great on it, and sometimes the acrylic markers, if you just put too much of the paint, it kind of just tears the paper a little bit. So this sketchbook, I made it a theme of childhood memories. So it's I gathered all of my references through Pinterest, and yeah, so it was just a great themed sketchbook to bring back memories of stuff that I've had throughout the years, or things that I had access to or that were really popular back when I grew up. So yeah, so this is just watercolor that I splashed some color on, just some contact information on the back of that one. So let's get started. So this was a doll. The first two are dolls, or like teddies that I had from birth. So looking back on photo albums, this little one was mostly plushy and her face was kind of like a plasticky texture, like a soft plastic, not like a hard plastic. So I've had her. I don't have her anymore. I'm not sure what my mom did with my childhood dolls. She did ask me a few years back if I wanted them, but I was like, I don't really have a space to really keep all of this at home. And I said, like, maybe just like pass it down to somebody else that could give it to their kids. So I don't have these. Maybe my mom still has them at home, but I'm not sure. I kind of regret not keeping them here at home, but it is what it is. I now have them in photographs and now in my sketchbook. So this was another one. He was just a big white plushy bear. He did start with a bow, and over the years the bow was lost. And My Little Ponies were quite popular. Like anything, things just get repopularized over the years. So every so many years you will see certain things pop up again, and I know these made a comeback a few years back. A lot of some of my drawings, like this, was quickly done, and I believe the next one was quickly done also. It was just one of those days where I wanted to make sure I had a couple of images put in. So I started, I think a lot of these were done on the 24th of December 2024, and then by the time I was adding more, I was starting to lose interest and probably just didn't want to. So that's why this looks more childlike, just because I just didn't give like my 100% into drawing this. So this is something I had growing up, My Little Pony. This was a plushy toy where like it was a harder plastic for the face and it lit up. There is like a glowworm version of these that was green. I never had that version, but this is something similar that I had growing up. And the viewfinders were fine. A lot of the ones I had were Disney themed. And the little troll dolls were quite popular. So as you've seen on the cover of my sketchbook, it says that I'm vintage since 1986. So that's when I was born, and I call myself more of a 90s kid because most of my memories are from the 90s and the early 2000s when I was a teenager. So of course, Mr. Potato Head, just have to have one of those. Played a lot with those. Now, my memory, for some reason, I can't remember what this is called. The name of it really escapes me. I will just pop up the name here um, once I look it up, because I don't know why I can't remember these. So these rolled up into a little ball, and like the little head would stick out. And I'm pretty sure we had one of these. These were really popular. And a Game Boy, and a Tetris game, and the games that I liked to play a lot on these were from The Simpsons. I don't know why there's this one Simpsons game that I was obsessed playing on the Game Boy. This is a spread that I did while I was waiting for my vehicle to be serviced at the car dealership. I like this cassette. I should have referenced this cassette for this one. This is mostly done with acrylic markers, and I like how this turned out, but I like the details here better on this cassette. A rotary phone. This is not something I ever had at my home, but it was my grandparents had one for a while before it got swapped out to one with buttons. My cousins had a Furby, and it was like the creepiest thing ever. This is like a little doll that had like little makeup in it, and then had the barrel of monkeys. We have these. I seriously don't remember like what was the purpose of these things. My cousins had one of these, and I used to play a lot with it whenever I would go hang out with them. My oldest brother had one of these, and he was really good at solving them. I never got the hang of it. These were Velcro pads, and the ball, like that tennis ball, would Velcro to it, so it's kind of like a catch game that you would play by two people, and just throw the ball at each other and catch it with the Velcro pad. Fellow Canadians might recognize these two characters. It's from a cartoon called The Raccoons. This played on the CBC channel, Canadian Broadcasting Channel. It was very, very popular, and I was obsessed with this cartoon. I couldn't wait for it to come on. And of course, Care Bears and Alf. I have some memories of watching this show. I was quite young though when that was on TV. And the Muppets. I'm pretty certain I had all three of these dolls. They were like the baby version of them. I had these two for certain, but something tells me I did have hers as well. They might have came in a pack of 3. My brothers had one of these. The one we had it was a yellow ball and a teal platform. These were popular when I was a kid. Fraggle Rocks. Looks a little bit like loose drawing for this. I just splashed some color first, and then I drew the details, the line work afterwards. These guys were popular as well back in the day. Now I really love this image. So this goes on the memory of back when we had a tube TV with the dials, and like literally had like 4 channels, and this was like placed on a table. I think it was placed on my mom's like sewing table that we had in the kitchen, and I just remember popping myself up really close to the TV with my feet leaned on it, having a bowl of cereal in the morning, watching my morning cartoons. And what I like about this is the medium that I used. I ended up using one of these water soluble graphite sticks. I have a 9B and a 2B, so it was my first time actually really testing them out thoroughly, and I really like the, I don't know, just the effect that it gives when you water it down. It's like you're using a pencil, but because it's water soluble, like it's very paint-like, and I don't know, I just like the results of it. It's a medium that I would like to use more often. I came across this logo, and I was like, oh my gosh, I actually remember having that brand of bubble bath when I was a kid. They came in these like pink bottles. The Jetsons were one of my favorite cartoons to watch in the morning, as well as Flintstones. And I really like the idea of the theme for this sketchbook. Mind you, when it got near the end of the sketchbook, I was really struggling to find things to add to it that really brought the joy of childhood memories, I guess. But so there's a lot of cartoons in here and stuff like that. Polaroid cameras were really popular, and I always wanted one of these. I don't think we've ever had one, but it was something I always wanted because I really liked the idea of like the picture coming out. I do have like a modern version, little printer. They're just like little three. I'm not sure the dimensions now, but you would have seen one in one of my last sketchbooks. I don't have one close by right now, but yeah, it's kind of Polaroid-ish. It's just you just connect it to your phone and you can print immediately a photograph. I remember us having a floor lamp that had like that meshy top and with a big ball for the light bulb cover. I remember having one of these back in the day, and if I'm not mistaken, we would have had one that was like for the floor like that, and I'm pretty sure we had one that was like hung on the ceiling with a chain. I'm pretty sure both versions were popular. And I came across an image of this, which brought me to the memories of back at school. Each classroom had a pencil sharpener like this for the students to use. And I definitely had to include one of these. This is where I started like trying to figure out what else do I add in the sketchbook. So I went with this is really not really bringing back memories of like the 90s, but more of the late 2000s when I met my husband. Post 2007, his apartment was across the street from the shopping mall, and we had a Blockbuster, and it was like our routine, like every weekend, to go rent a movie at Blockbuster. And of course, I wanted to include one of these when I came across the idea of looking for candies that were popular growing up. So this kind of falls back into my childhood. These were really fun to get because you always had like the comics that came with it. And I stuck to the same theme of bubblegum that were popular. This brand, the Hubba Bubba, I was going to do the stick image, but then when I came across an image of the bubble jug, I completely forgot about this. These were so, it was basically a jug of sugar that would like just threw in your mouth, and like it converted into like gum once you started chewing on it. But it was so sweet, like so sugary. No wonder we had cavities. Chiclets, I had to include those because they were my favorite gum at Halloween time. And then I included a Goosebumps cover just because those were very popular back in the day as like summer reads. Sometimes I would read them through the school year as well. This is probably my all-time favorite TV show as a kid. I actually own the 2 DVD sets of this show. I should rewatch them. It was pretty funny. A California Raisin, plasticky toy thing. Pretty sure we had those. I know I had that. I had an ear for music, so anything that was like music-y, like a piano or something like that, I would play around with it. These were very popular my preteen years. I know they still exist today, but it's still part of my memories. And we always had a bar of soap like this. There's just certain things that like you kind of look at and it kind of sparks the memory of even how it smelled. I'm not sure if it's a brand that still exists. It's not something I use today, but my brain kind of can still smell this green bar soap. This game is something I got for Christmas one year, and it's an electronic matching game. So you would press this button, and it would like give you a noise, or like a noise, I guess, like a meow or a bark or something like that, a moo. And then you would have to like hit a button to try to match it, basically. And I think once you connected four, you won. So you would just pass the machine along if you played with multiple people. And I definitely had to include that. That was quite popular, as well as these guys. And this was a common cartoon that I watched on TV as well. This, I wanted to include this because it brought back memories of my summer days. After school was over, we always had a jug of Kool-Aid. The grape one was my favorite one, and we often made homemade popsicles with them. The cat clock is something I didn't have, but I always wanted one. And to this day, if I came across one, I would buy it. Even if it didn't work, I would just buy it for decoration. One year, I submitted a drawing for a drawing competition at the local bank where I grew up, and my drawing won the contest, and this was my prize. So this thing opened up, and you put like a cassette tape in it, or you could just listen to the radio. A game that I sucked at, but played it a lot. Archie comics were part of my reading during the summers. And this is the last page. Again, my Canadian friends would recognize this fella. Again, Mr. Dress Up. It played on television on the CBC channel. This was a great show. He dressed up a lot. He had drawing segments, which was one of the favorite things I liked about this show. So that's my last spread here, and I just painted here. I wanted to do something fancy, forgot. So yeah, that's it. That's another sketchbook that's finished. The last two I worked in simultaneously. This one I worked on occasionally between the two, so which is why it took me twice as long to do this one than the other two. There's nothing special about this sticker. This is just a brand that sells bicycle parts that my husband orders from a company all the time. So I stole one of those stickers to stick in the back there. So that is my childhood memories sketchbook. Do you have a sketchbook where you like to keep a theme? What themes do you like to include in your sketchbooks? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel to help me grow my channel, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.